Yeah. I haven't really told this story to a lot of people. This is not about me. Well, I'm an active participant in the story, but I'm not the suicidal person in the story. And I say this when this story happened, this was maybe 2 years ago. I had been a therapist for over a decade at this point. And so just to like somebody came to my house, a friend that I knew very well, and I knew he was in a bad place. Um, and he came and it was like 12:30 in the morning. And the fact that he called and asked to come over, like, can I stay the night at your place? Like, yeah, of course. I knew he was going through a pretty ugly divorce at the time and some bad custody battles. So he came in, he sat down. I just had this feeling. And after a few minutes, I was like, hey, man, I have to ask, like, you seem like you're thinking about killing yourself. And he said, I am. I said, okay, do you have a plan? And he got real quiet and he said, yeah, I do. I said, do you have the plan here? And he got real quiet and he said, yeah, my pistol's in the car. And so I said, okay, I need you to give me your gun because I need you to be safe. And in that moment, I felt really scared. And I'm not saying that to do anything other than to say this is a scary thing to hear from people, even when you're a trained professional. But he's alive and well right now. He made it through the divorce hearings. He's got custody figured out. I had his gun. I actually, he gave me the gun. He had 2 clips fully loaded. He had some pretty serious intent, and he knew how to work his weapon for sure. And so I reached out to a friend of mine who had a gun safe, and I kept his gun in my friend's gun safe for months until I knew that my other friend was safe. And my friend who kept the gun he'd never met him, couldn't have picked him out of a crowd, but uh, we were able to access a form of community that lifted him up while he was in that dark place. Um, he made it
So
through.
important to ask that question. So important because it's like I can imagine the fear that you have in
Mhm.
being vulnerable if someone asks, like, are you having a hard time? And you don't want to lie, and yet you don't want to share. And so here you
Yeah,
are stuck and like, am I going to be weak in that moment right then?
yeah.
Am I
I'm
going to
so glad he
choose
was.
weakness? Yes. I shouldn't say
Please
weakness,
be weak.
vulnerability. You're
Vulnerable.
going to
Well,
choose
yeah,
vulnerability.
absolutely. And I want to just really, on top of that, too, say I was scared, and so I was able to reach out for help as I helped, and that got me through when I was scared. And so all of this, the idea that it is like at some point we've got to stop, telling people to just get through this, to just deal with it. I got that guy's gun. I put him to bed. I gave him a bed to sleep in. And then I spent the rest of the night worried. And I called people and I asked for help. And we got through it. But it's because that started a chain reaction of people reaching out to people. Um, I wasn't upset that he told me. I wasn't mad at him for putting me in that situation. I was scared because I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it and I had to act fast.
Well,
And
you
that's
knew
okay.
too. You knew talking and reaching out helps. I think some people think there's a catch-22 of, if I ask, will it make it worse? Well, I have to ask to make it better. And so they're bound by this, like, crap, we're not going to talk about it because I might make it worse, but I have to ask in order to know to keep him safe. Um, Sometimes I hate to do this, but in 2014, these researchers, the title of their book was, Does Asking About Suicide and Related Behaviors Induce Suicidal Ideation? What's the evidence? 13 studies over 12 years revealed that multiple age groups and demographics, asking all of them in over 12 years, none of them found a statistically significant increase in suicidal ideation among participants when asked about suicidal thoughts. In fact, those studies suggested acknowledging and talking about suicide may in fact reduce rather than increase suicidal ideation.
Freaking take that, social media, with your stupid censoring of the word. It kills
Yeah,
me. Just a little
exactly.
quick rant. Why on earth we have an epidemic of male loneliness. We have an epidemic of
Yeah.
female loneliness. Everybody's lonely. We have an epidemic of people wanting to kill themselves, even if the numbers aren't drastically up or down relative to a different period of time. Who cares?
So we can't say the
We
word kill or suicide on certain platforms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be able to talk about this point blank, because if we can't talk about it directly, then people are going to find ways to not talk about it. And they find ways to not talk about it, but they find ways to act on it. And that is a real problem. We need to be able to look this in the eye. We
Bad
have
juju.
to be able to look it in the eye. Get off my
Exactly.
soapbox now.
No, exactly. Censoring the language around it censors the issue.